welcome back to yet another week of Behind the Lens. It's the last Monday in August. Can you believe it? We're heading into the last quarter of 2025. Wow. Well, I'm Debbie Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens, where we go behind the lens and below the line with the movers and shakers, the film and TV makers, those producers, directors, writers, actors, cinematographers, film editors, composers, sound editors, sound mixers, production designers, costume designers, stuntmen, stunt coordinators, authors, you name it, and I'm talking about it and to the people that fill all of these jobs. It's a fun show this week as I get to take a look at two new films that just opened in theaters on Friday and speak with three filmmakers whom I've spoken with in the past, all of whose work I admire, respect, and in the case of one director, can't get enough of. I'm talking about the wonderful filmmaking team of Angelo Covino and Kyle Marvin and their hilarious new non-rom-com Splitsville, along with one of my fave filmmakers and the man who I believe helped put Taylor Sheridan on the map as a writer with the fabulous Hell or High Water, director David Mackenzie and his new thriller Relay. But let's kick things off with the comedy stylings of Angelo Covino and Kyle Marvin in Splitsville. One of the beautiful things about their collaboration is that they co-write their films, co-produce their films, and they both act in them, with Michael taking the laboring directorial oar. You should remember Michael and Kyle from their last outing, The Climb, a laugh-out-loud black comedy exploring the quote-unquote friendship of two guys over 2 decades. The Climb marked Michael's directorial feature debut, which makes Splitsville his sophomore film. He knocked it out of the park on every level with The Climb. He tops himself here with Splitsville. Now the boys are back with one of the most hilarious films you'll see all year. Splitsville is the story of two couples, Ashley and Carrie and Julie and Paul. All are best friends, and all with personalities as different as night and day. But one day, while Ashley and Carrie are on a road trip, driving down a multi-lane highway, out of the blue and left field, Ashley asks Carrie for a divorce, a.k.a. let the hilarity and hijinks begin. Good-natured and kind of wimpy, Carrie, who is played by Kyle, runs to his besties, Julie and Paul, played by Michael and Dakota Johnson. He's looking for support and a place to crash while he figures out what to do. But it's then that he finds out the secret to their happy marriage. You know, he's all up in arms. Well, you guys are so happy. Why? Why did Ashley want to leave me? Well, the secret is Julie and Paul have an open marriage. I know. I see the eyebrows raising. Shocked and curious, things take a left turn with Carrie crossing a line, resulting in chaotic madness and mayhem for all concerned. Now, this is directed by Angelo Covino, written by Michael and Kyle Marvin, and stars Kyle and Michael, along with Dakota Johnson, Adria Arjona, Nicholas Braun, David Castaneda, and O.T. Fagbinelli. As Michael and Kyle discuss the making of Splitsville, we take a good look at physical comedy, something that is key to this film. In fact, it bookends the film with strong choreographed comedic fight scenes with a few thrown in between for good measure. As you're going to hear them discuss, physical comedy is a quote-unquote universal and sort of instantaneous form of entertainment that they both enjoy performing as much as watching. With Splitsville, a long choreographed fight sequence performed by them, they do all their own stunts, folks, was essential to the film. As they see it, the physical comedy brings a unique comedic element that only they, as the characters, could deliver, grounding the humor in the personalities and relationships of the characters that they have created, rather than just the action itself. This approach allows them to play the scene seriously, which only enhances the comedic effect, and they go into great detail on this. From beginning to end, Splitsville is a collaborative process for the boys. From the inspiration for and crafting of the story and script, to their performances, to the film's production elements, everyone is involved. Notable is the part of our conversation about working with cinematographer Adam Newport Barra, whose work you might know from The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and not only developing the film's visual grammar, but the decision to shoot on 35mm film. Yes, Splitsville is shot on 35mm, something very important to Michael, as it brings a sense of humanity through its texture, grain, and the quote-unquote aliveness it imparts to images. The imperfections and spontaneity inherent in film add to this human quality, making the movie feel more organic and less sterile than digital. We also dive into editing. This is a film that requires rapier editing in order to not only set the energetic pace, but hit the comedic beats and emotional beats. This led to editor Sarah Shaw, who also cut The Climb, and assistant editor Emmett Ashton. According to both Michael and Kyle, working with Sarah and Emmett was fast and collaborative, emphasizing visual storytelling, which capitalized on some laugh-out-loud hilarity with things like goldfish and CVS receipts. I guarantee you, you see this film, those things are going to jump right out of you, and you will, don't be drinking anything, because you'll spit it out. You'll be laughing so hard. From beginning to end, Splitsville is filled with humor and heart. But something that really stands out for me is the growth in Michael as a director since The Climb, and the growth in Michael and Kyle as storytellers. Just fantastic. I always love seeing growth in filmmakers when I revisit them over the years. So please take a listen as Michael Angelo Covino and Kyle Marvin talk all things Splitsville. Hi, guys.
How are you?
Well, I'm so thrilled to be speaking with you again. The last time we chatted was for the incomparable The Climb.
Yep.
So
nice to be chatting again.
it is very wonderful, and I have to say, you have surpassed your level of excellence in The Climb with Splitsville.
Thank you.
This is actually, I describe this as a non-rom-com rom-com.
Great. I like that. We just call it an unromantic comedy, but I think they mean the same thing.
I think they do. But some people don't quite understand, romantic comedy. They're more inclined to, the shorter characters of rom-com. I got to tell you, this is so entertaining. It would play as well in the 1930s pre-code era as it does now. It is funny as can be. Your physical comedy is great. Kyle, we are just so thrilled that you don't mind walking around naked. That is a big perk in the film.
Probably the biggest pre-code. That's probably the biggest pre-code element.
Yes, most definitely.
He brings the pre-code to the
See, there you go. So you're covering 100 years of cinema in this film. That's quite a feat. Your production elements, your cinematic elements, guys, are fantastic. I was so tickled that you brought in Adam Newport Barra as your cinematographer. I love what he did with Last Black Man in San Francisco and the visuals that he brought. His visuals here are beautiful, and working in tandem with Stephen Phelps and the production design in the signature houses that we find ourselves in is fantastic. And with the design elements, you make it a little tricky for Adam to navigate with blocking, with cameras, with lighting, except in the one house, and you've got those glorious floor-to-ceiling windows, so natural light abounds. But then you throw in all your physical comedy. How do you, especially you, Michael, since you're directing this, how do you juggle and make those elements fit together into something wonderfully cogent like Splitsville?
Well, I think it starts with, what you mentioned, which is the collaborations. I've got Kyle, so I've got another director sitting beside me, even though he's not directing, he's writing, he's producing, and he is a director in his own right. So I've got another set of eyes and ears and a really smart creative collaborator brain next to me who can, even if it's as simple as like, hey, go talk about this with the art department and work it out because they're struggling with this one issue. Kyle can go do that, so it takes some of the pressure off of me when we're jammed. But to your point, Adam Newport Barrow was really a gift to this film, and it was such a joy working with him. And Stephen Phelps, I had worked together on a movie that we were just producers on, and I just was blown away by him and his ability to do a lot with a little, and he's just beyond, just continues to just, he never takes a day off, and he just works and works and works. And Callan Stokes, our costume designer, who I had worked together on The Climb, is just like, really someone that I lean on because I know that she can kind of just, we mind meld, and then she goes off and she really is like someone who can execute. So you start with those sort of foundational collaborators, and then, and then it's just about being just completely unrelenting and uncompromising in finding the locations that we need to find. And we would storyboard for some of the scenes, and other scenes I would say, okay, this is what I have in my head, or this is a rough thing what I have in my head. And then we would talk about it, and we would come up with blocking, and we'd come up with, the approach. But, a lot of these, Kyle and I sometimes write very descriptively in terms of camera movement and things like that. So a lot of these things were just like, this is what it is. And Adam knew going in the limitations of some of these locations, so we would talk about it. I said, hey, this party, we're going to move from room to room, and we're going to do this. And we knew we were shooting on film, so we knew that there would be a certain amount of latitude, and that we could we could harness natural lighting in a lot of scenarios, and then there would be other areas where we were more challenged, and we had to really kind of like build pools of light and do interesting things. So I'm getting a little granular on it, but I think it was truly about, it always starts with the people that we bring in, and that I have to lean on, because it would be impossible for me to sort of envision all this on my own.
I love the fact you shot on film. What led you to go with 35 millimeter here?
Well, we would have done it on the last film, other than the fact that the budget on that was very tight as is. But this is a film that is in some ways communicating with similar films that dealt with similar subject matter, had a similar tone from the 70s. And as you said, if this is a film that can sort of feel out of time in a way, like even though it's dealing with contemporary characters and ideas, it's universal in its sort of in its exploration of love and infidelity and all these things, to where hopefully in 30 years it'll be just as relevant as it would have been 30 years ago. And because of that, film felt like this sort of timeless medium that would sort of encapsulate this moment in time. And we've watched the digital landscape change, and the look and the feel and all these things so rapidly that, like, if you watch films from 2004 that were shot on digital cameras, they are so set in that time that you could never pull them out of that time.
Right.
And I think that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. And I think film is it also brings humanity to it in a subconscious way for me. You feel the texture, you feel the grain, you feel the aliveness, you feel the spontaneity of whatever was happening. You're dealing with human beings developing it. It's just, everything about it is, there's a little more by chance, and there's a little more imperfection to it. And I think in this moment in time where we are constantly striving toward perfection of clean image and clean lenses and all these things, we have to find our ways to sort of imbue our films with humanity and with aliveness. And so that was one aspect of the decision.
I am utterly thrilled you went with film. I am a firm believer in film for the very reasons that you're mentioning, and what it brings, and the humanity it gives, and the timelessness. plus when you see that sunlight coming through those floor-to-ceiling windows, damn, that looks so good on film. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we agree.
I'm curious, who came up with the original idea for this? I love the idea, and the way you've structured the film works really, really well. But I'm curious, was this a breakfast discussion and you both said, hey, this is a good idea? Or was this a late night, we've been out at the bar for too long discussion? How did this come about with you guys?
We never really say who the initial idea was on any of the movies, I think because sometimes we'll find out, oh, that was my idea, and he'll be like, no, that was my idea. And then the truth is we don't remember because...
I think we're just in conversation so much about all these things and concepts, and they just sort of pass organically out of it's like a shared ongoing conversation. So for us, it's not even important, I don't think, as to like what the exact inception point was. We're just more interested in the creative process of it and testing it and pushing it and seeing how far we can go with the ideas or scenes.
But to that point, I do remember having the idea.
I'm pretty sure it was mine.
What we can say is that the first two ideas that really set this in motion were, we wanted to explore relationships in this way. We knew that it would be fun. There was something fun about the dynamics that we had explored in The Climb, but sort of flipping it a bit, where Kyle's character was, in the other seat in a way. Mm-hmm. But really, it was this opening scene of this character of Kerry and his wife and her, and everything seeming fine, and then all of a sudden a car accident happening, and then that being the catalyst for her to say, I can't do this anymore. And you realize underneath the surface of everything's great, it wasn't great, and she was holding on to, she was looking for the moment when she was finally going to rip the Band-Aid off and ask for a divorce, and then him showing up at our house and us saying, oh, we're open, and kind of being sort of laissez-faire about things, only to have him and my wife sleep together, and then it to come out as this brutal, ridiculous, elongated fight sequence. And once we landed those two set pieces, really the opening and the fight sequence, we said, okay, this is a movie that we have to make. And it usually takes until that point, until there's an ingredient where we say we have to make this, that we until we put our heads down and go full steam.
And the car crash definitely was from your life.
The car crash I experienced on a road trip like that. I wasn't married. I didn't get divorced in the scene, but
you experienced.
But I definitely thought to myself, "Is this what I'm doing with my life?" Like I thought, "Oh, this would be a moment to make a big life decision."
But you didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Oh, God. Well, I have to say the opening fight sequence is so spectacularly choreographed. It is so much fun. You guys are great, and I know you do your own stunts. But for a lot of audiences, the younger audiences, immediately, I think they're going to hearken to Bridget Jones, any of the Bridget Jones movies, and Colin Firth and Hugh Grant, and their battles.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and that's... Well, let's see.
No, we don't have to say that. Yeah, I mean, I think that physical comedy is such a universal and sort of instantaneous form of entertainment, and we certainly enjoy doing it as much as we enjoy watching it. So I think for us, it was from the get-go something we had to. It was a non-starter that we were going to do that long fight sequence and that we were going to be the ones doing it.
And of course, you bring the fight sequence without giving away any spoilers. You do bring the fight sequence full circle in the film. There's no such thing as too much testosterone flowing amongst guys.
I don't know. Some people would say the opposite, but I think as long as it's grounded, as long as they, I don't know that we're celebrating it as more as we're laughing at it.
That's just it. Because when you watch the choreography of the fighting and how you're fighting, it is very comedic in its styling.
Totally.
And of course,
it was always one of the reasons why we wanted to do it, is because we wanted to bring the comedy to the fight. We didn't just want great fighters fighting and us to just be.
There was no way that we could have pulled off this fight scene if we used stunt doubles.
Yeah.
No.
Because wouldn't have had the intangible thing that we're bringing to it, which is the understanding of who the characters are and how to play it for comedy, which is really just play it sincerely. Yeah.
A big looming question here. How many goldfish were lost in the making of this movie?
Oh, actually none, believe it or not.
You'll be happy to know zero goldfish
were lost. They died a week later because that's their lifespan, but
some plastic goldfish were lost.
Yeah, there are a lot of rubber goldfish lost.
I will tell you, I was roaring, absolutely roaring, as you're trying to pick up goldfish off the carpeted floor and cradle them in your shirts. Hilarious. You also have another great touchstone in there that everybody universally laughs at, the CVS receipt. Was that scripted, or did that just, you get that idea during the shoot?
Listen, if randomly they put a long CVS receipt in there, that would have been pretty genius. But no, it was scripted because I think right before that, Dakota says, upstairs in the CVS bag upstairs. Right. So she says CVS bag, so then it was very much, but it was funny because we were in Canada where they don't have CVS, so they were like, okay.
They didn't understand the joke right away, and then they got it, they're like, is this long?
And then like one person was like, I've been to the U.S., they have long receipts.
I don't know if it's long enough. We were sort of disappointed.
We were actually upset that they didn't make it longer. It was, but they thought it was overkill. I was like, guys, that is not even the longest.
No.
Every audience has had a longer CVS receipt than that. You need to go longer. And they were like, no, it can't be any longer. It's ridiculous.
This is a waste of paper.
And I was like, guys, this is what this is. This is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, that's terrific. Now, something that you do here, Michael, that you working with your editor, with Sarah Shaw, I love your montages and how those are put together. You don't waste exposition. You give us some beautiful, clean visuals that tell us a lot of what we need to know in these montages. What was it like working with Sarah? Because you've got montages, you have all this great physical comedy, you've got plot points that you must get across. You must hit those emotional beats for the heart of the story. What was this editing process like?
Well, it was very fast, so that was intense. We sort of were like, I mean, it was the fastest edit I've ever been a part of on a movie. But, Sarah and I have a shorthand, and Emmett Ashton, who was our, so Sarah, Emmett, and I worked on The Climb together, and we also did this movie together. And we've all developed like a real shorthand, and Sarah is incredible. I mean, she has such an understanding. She's so complimentary to my taste in a really beautiful way, in that, I'll put something on screen and she'll just be like, that's not funny. I'll go, oh, great. I have the ultimate person to try to, and then she'll put something else. She'll be like, okay, that's funny. I'm like, yeah, that's a kind of funny, Sarah, but it's not as funny as the other thing. And then, and we'll bring 10 people into a room and we'll watch it, and then they'll laugh. They're like, okay, it's kind of funny. And it's a really beautiful, we all have a really beautiful working relationship because it's so collaborative. But, Sarah she'll imbue the film with heart where maybe it was there, but it wasn't quite shining in a first cut. And she'll find nuanced ways to sort of like she's a very evocative, how do I explain? Like if I made films that were more not more elliptical, but more you could intercut them more, and you could be more fluid and more just sort of like imagery, abstract and imagery. She would have a field day. But the fact that she has that beautiful skill set and inclination and brings it to a film like this that's a little more structured means that we're constantly we're meticulous with every transition. We're meticulous in the in and out points of scenes. We're sort of like moving through it in a fluid way and finding the rhythm to the limited coverage that we shot, because we did not shoot a lot of coverage. There's some scenes where there's one shot for the scene, and then there's or one setup for the scene, and then there's another scene where it's maybe like 2 singles and a wide, and you're like, all right, how do I get through a scene with 2 singles and a wide? But that was intentional, because it was about this sort of this. We really had this idea of going through this film in a very subjective to objective, juxtaposition where you pop in and out of the perspective in a really interesting way.
Well,
So yeah, Sarah I couldn't love working with her more, and the same with Emmett, who was our additional editor, but also our really like much more than an assistant editor.
well, unfortunately, guys, I have been texted that we are out of time, and
Right.
I'm going to be disconnected from you. So I
right.
had more to ask you, but I'll have to save it for another time. But guys,
All right. Well, if
great
you want
job.
to shoot us an email with 1 or 2 questions, we're happy to respond to it. All right.
Oh, thanks. But guys, great job. It is funny, it is filled with heart, and it is a perfect non-rom-com rom-com. I love it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
And that was Angelo Covino and Kyle Marvin talking Splitsville. And you can see Splitsville in select theaters right now, but it's expanding to everywhere this coming Friday for Labor Day weekend. So now, let's switch gears and ratchet up the thrills and tension with Relay and director David Mackenzie. I love David Mackenzie. I love his work, and he is one of the nicest guys around. I gotta tell you. I have been champing at the bit, sitting on this interview with David since early June, as the publicity team asked me to hold it until the film's release. Well, now the release date has arrived, and I can share this interview with all of you. Relay is a tense New York thriller which has a timelessness to it while echoing the great paranoid thrillers of the 1970s. In Relay, Riz Ahmed plays Ash, a world-class fixer who specializes in brokering lucrative payoffs between corrupt corporations and the individuals who threaten their ruin. He keeps his identity a secret through meticulous planning and always follows an exacting set of rules. But when a message arrives one day from a potential client named Sarah, beautifully played by Lily James, I might add, needing his protection just to stay alive, the rules quickly start to change. Directed by David Mackenzie, with script by Justin Piasecki, Relay, it boasts a star-studded cast with Riz Ahmed, Lily James, Sam Worthington, Willa Fitzgerald, Jared Abramson, Victor Garber, Aisa Davis, and Matthew Mayer. Wow. The cast is impeccable. Truly impeccable. As we dig into the making of Relay in our conversation, a big part of our focus highlights the blend of analog and high-tech elements, which are essential to keeping the audience on edge while building the paranoia and the suspense. David integrates analog, old-school technology like TTY keyboards, switchboards, newspapers, vinyl LPs with high-tech elements. Grounds the story in a tactile, visceral world and heightens the sense of surveillance and unease. It is a puzzle, but it's also a very delicate dance. And his choreography is beautiful. His directorial choreography is beautiful. Add to that the brilliant work of David's longtime cinematographer, Giles Nugent, and you know Giles's work, Hell or High Water, Greed, Dom Hemingway, The D Train, Asylum, Swim Fan, Loss of a Teardrop Diamond. He's amazing as a cinematographer. We talk about him, David working with him, and also developing the visual grammar that employed wide-angle shots, surveillance-style imagery to establish a sense of distance and observation, but contrasting that with closer, more intimate framing as characters connect, which visually mirrors the growing tension and relationships. The emotional tonal bandwidth is captured and mirrored in the visual tonal bandwidth in this film. Known for his long-sustained opening oneers, David doesn't disappoint here and delivers in spades and creates an innate tension and immerses the audience without breaking the spell, making viewers feel the paranoia and anticipation from the first frame. And key to much of the visual grammar and the visuals that Giles captures is production designer Jane Muskie's work and the use of live locations for filming. I don't think there's any production designer who is more skilled or knowledgeable about shooting in New York than Jane is. As you'll hear David talk about more, scenes where characters build relationships without meeting in person were carefully constructed, using editing and visual cues to draw them together and increase the sense of connection and tension. Working with editor Matt Mayer, the editing choices made keep the film feeling rough, jumpy, and edgy, maintaining a constant sense of unease and suspense. And speaking of building those character relationships, David has a lot to say about the casting process, which he describes as quote-unquote meticulous and a slow burn process, as it was important that he find the right actors for each role, some of which may surprise you when you see the film. Interesting is the casting of Sam Worthington, in addition to some of those in the main ensemble. Important to David in casting the role of Sarah, and what led him to Lily James, was her ability to convey warmth and believability. Bottom line, though, was the importance of having a cast that could execute their roles truthfully and excitingly. Relay is, at the end of the day, it is like a puzzle, with each production element integrating or interlocking with another. It's every time I talk to David, it's always fascinating to get inside his mind and understand his vision for the film and what a vision this is with Relay. So take a listen as director David Mackenzie talks the taut, intense, paranoid thriller Relay.
Hello.
Hello, David. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I am very happy to be speaking with you again. It's been a long time since we chatted for Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
But I must say...
Where are you? Which part of the country are you?
I'm in L.A.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, when we spoke for Hell or High Water, we actually spoke at a house up in the hills. I don't know if you were renting it or lived there, but it was a lovely interview. And for an incredible film. So now I'm wondering, with what the exposure you gave to Taylor Sheridan as an unknown writer, is Relay, are you going to do the same thing for Justin?
I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see on that one.
That's the first thing I thought of as I was watching Relay, because you have such a gift for building tension and developing these situations where, as a moviegoer, one is sitting on the edge of their seat. And you did that so beautifully in Hell or High Water, Outlaw King, and now with Relay. I have to tell you, David, I am so impressed with this film and how you have balanced analog, old school technology and just analog world in itself with the high tech of corporate America. I loved the visceral sense we get with the TTY keyboard, the switchboard, the newspapers, envelopes, using the post office, forwarding mail. A lot of people don't understand. You can forward your mail. The vinyl LPs. I love the analog world. I'm old school. So to see...
Me too. I like it too. So, that's part of what attracted me to it. And the kind of is also, tapping in conspiracy theory or paranoid sort of movies. It fits that analog world as well, and there's in the music sometimes we got analog synth sounds as well, and there's a sort of a pre-digital element to it. Obviously, it's not just that. They're using very modern technology to try and track him down and all that. There's a sort of an idea that if you leave no digital footprint, you're harder to reach.
And this is what's so wonderful. And Riz does an outstanding job here as Ash, because he just dissolves. He just disappears into his surroundings. you're showing us the world that he is in, but he just disappears into it. He doesn't stand out. And it really makes us more cognizant of the environment around him. And it adds to the paranoia that Sarah has. And I love how you and Giles, God bless you, brought him back as your cinematographer.
Oh yes, I've done 9 films with him now, I think.
I know. Talk to me about how the two of you designed your visual grammar, because I see through your edit the great use. You've got wide angle, you have surveillance, style imagery, and then as things get closer, as Ash is getting more connected with Sarah, the camera is coming in closer, the framing is closer. But then you'll take us outside the box again with our villainous henchman, Sam Worthington, and his crew. So I'm curious about the visual grammar that the two of you developed.
Well, part of the issue was that Riz's character, Ash and Sarah, Lily's character, really don't meet each other in the flesh, until towards the end without giving anything away. And so you have to create the building relationship where they're not even talking to each other; they're talking between intermediaries. But you're building something where they're getting to know each other, and there's increasing, sense of connection between them. And so the challenge was to try and make these sort of disparate conversations come together so that you feel like you're in the room with you're almost in the room with each other, and then the connection gets deeper and deeper. So you're allowed to kind of get there. But yeah, it was very important to try and sort of, as it were, sort of pull them together with the magnetism of the cinema, and obviously the edit, in order to kind of get that to come alive.
Well, the film is very cinematic, David.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it on the big screen, because
we just did.
Oh.
They played really well, and the cast absolutely loved it. And all the subtlety of the acting, particularly Lily was very, very, very happy with it, which is great. Because
there's so much here that builds into the analog world that you're creating. And I really want to celebrate Jane Muskie's production design and all of the set dress with all of these little pieces that I'm sure look so much better on the big screen. So I'm looking forward.
They do. I mean, Jane is a great veteran designer, a production designer, very much a favourite person, and great to work with her and her team. And then, what we were trying to do is we shoot in a lot of live locations, so there was some stuff that where we couldn't really do anything, but we plonked a newsstand in the middle of Times Square, and let the rest of Times Square go live, so sometimes, and then obviously the apartments and the details. That's where Jane was able to really put some production design stuff. But it was very much a location film. And
every location you have is spectacular. And of course, Jane knows New York so well. She's done so many films that are not just set in New York, but filmed in New York.
Exactly.
Which is so key here. Now, talk to me about working with Matt Mayer as your editor and building the tension of this film. Because you build and build and build here. And I really...
Well, Matt and I have just done 2 films together. We've spent well over a year in the dark room together in the course of the last year, and 2.5 years, 2.5 years. So yeah, I mean, Matt is a sort of very integral part of how the film kind of builds and holds its tension. It's always been a big thing for me to try and sort of create as much tension as possible in scenarios, as you pointed out, and the editing is a huge part of that. And we're always trying to sort of edit a little bit roughly, so everything's got a bit jumpy and a bit edgy to it, so it's not smooth. Matt has got fantastic sensibilities, and it's a really great person to be on and collaborate with in the edit. Which is, these films for me because I shoot, I shoot quite on, and I'm very kind of intuitive when I'm doing it on the ground, and then we shape it all, in the edit.
Mm-hmm. I think the edit works beautifully. And I have to tell you, David, I almost jumped out of my chair with glee when I saw the concert sequence. I immediately went to Hitchcock, and you know the film I'm thinking about.
I do, yes.
I was spectacular.
No, it was hard not to be there. I mean, and the choice of that music was statement that was used in Barry Lyndon, which has always been one of my favourites. It was fun. It was fun to play Hitchcock games in that sequence.
Now, something I noticed here, and I've seen this in a lot of your other films, it's almost a trademark for you. The opening shot is this incredible oneer that right away it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up because you feel tension, you feel paranoia or fear. What is it about opening with a oneer like that you love so much and do so well?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, all sorts of films which have oneers or entirely oneers, and so some of my oneers sort of like disappear. But I really like the idea of sustaining the shot of the film for as long as possible, because it does create an innate tension in there, I think. And then obviously one wants to play with different rhythms in the edit, but I think again in this next film I'm doing, we've got a very complex, a couple of complex ones actually. To start off, and it just means you're not breaking the spell until the audience are kind of in there, and that's the idea of it, I think.
I don't think I blinked as I'm watching this oneer, because I was dying to see what was going to be at the end of this shot. And of course, I was very thrilled with what we get at the end of the shot. No spoiler from me here, and who we get. So that was a nice little treat. Now, how difficult... That really tickled me. And considering this person's past performances and film and work, it very appropriate for the subject matter here. So you didn't lose that on me.
Very good, David.
How difficult... No, go ahead.
You're saying all the right things. Anyway, I'm really happy that you're responding, to the material and the sort of games we're playing. It's so sort of you're kind of it's gratifying to hear you tune into what we're trying to do so acutely.
That's one reason I love your film so much, David, because you give us these wonderful moments and you build things, and I love seeing that. It's like watching a puzzle unfold or trying to figure out the puzzle. And I will tell you, I did not see the big twist coming in this one. I did not see that.
We yesterday, we seemed to get it, which is because actually there are loads of Easter eggs all the way through it, which is sort of suggestive of, subtly suggestive of what she's doing. But you don't read it because you don't. What I hope is a second viewing where you know where that twist is coming, that you can look at the film and still see it in the same light.
Oh, absolutely. How difficult was the casting of the film overall? You got Sam as a villain, which is fantastic. Riz, this is, I think, one of the best performances I've seen from him. And this was this is not what we're used to seeing from Lily. And then, of course, you bring in, I always love seeing Matthew pop up in a film. And, Isa Davis as Wash. She's a real treat here. So how difficult was this casting?
Well, casting is a slow burn to begin with, and I've been a fan of Riz's work for a while, and it just seemed like it was a good bit, and we talked for a while, and that came along, and then I don't want to sort of spoiler it, but Lily kind of exudes a sort of innocence. Or has done, and there's something, obviously not exclusively, but there's warmth and believability about her, which I thought was very appropriate for what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different, it's a more kind of adult thing. I think probably she's got background in. Well, I'm okay. I want to be careful not to put spoilers in it. Sorry. Anyway, so the warmth that Lily exudes is very, very important to making the character work, I think. And Sam is someone who I've now done 3 films with, and I really like working with him. And he's very kind of intuitive and interesting to work with, and always comes up with something kind of truthful and exciting in what he does. So it was really great to have him as a baddie. And then the rest of the team, you talked about East Davis and Matt, just really lovely New York-based actors. Abe Kaufman did the casting, and Abe's great, and so we just found our way through that in a really nice way. And I love the kind of ensemble of the whole film.
You have matched all these puzzle pieces so well, David, and I love the film. I just think it is fantastic. And I know Sam is going to rip that phone out of your hand here in a second, because my 15 minutes are up. So I have David.
Well, it's been very, very enjoyable talking to you, Debbie, and thank you for being a supporter. Actually, so very grateful. I'm really glad you liked the film.
I really do, and I can't wait to see Fuse. I am anxious to see what you have.
It's nearly ready. We're just waiting for the VFX to come in, which is taking much longer than I thought. But yeah, it's nearly ready. That's another edge of your seat film, I mean, it's quite a ride, I think, Fuses.
Well, all of your films are quite a ride in one way or another. So I'm anxious for that. But David, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. I so appreciate it. A joy, as always.
Thank you for taking the time to see it. And really appreciate it. And great to talk to you. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, David. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. And that was David Mackenzie, director David Mackenzie, talking Relay. And you can see Relay right now nationwide and only in theaters. That's all the time we have today. I know, it went by so fast, even with me rambling on. I hope that you head out to the theater this week and check out Relay in Splitsville, along with some of the other wonderful indie gems that are now playing. Nothing against tent poles, as you all know, but indie films like these need support so that they can keep getting made. We're seeing the stories that we see in these indie films, and not the $350 million tent poles. The stories are so strong. Characters are so well developed, and filmmakers really get to execute their visions for storytelling. And we need to keep theaters alive, folks. And here you have a chance to also see one film that is shot in 35 millimeter. And of course, when everyone thought film was dying, shooting on film has made a strong resurgence over the past few years. So I encourage you to go to the theater. Relay and Splitsville are just 2 of the wonderful films that are in theaters right now. Now, next week is Labor Day, and I'm not sure what I have got in store for you yet, but I think it's going to be interviews with a writer, director, and lead actor on a film that's cultural and global in its appeal. And it mandates tissues. So, until then, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.